Hello everyone, welcome to this demo session on SAP S/4HANA technical training. Come ABAP on HANA Stack. As you might have already seen the YouTube channel and YouTube demos on ABAP on HANA on my YouTube channel, I welcome all of you back to this another amazing training session on SAP S/4HANA. So far, it has been a journey of 16 batches, and this is our 17th batch for SAP S/4HANA on-premise and ABAP on HANA Stack. Some of you would have already attended the training in the middle in my last batch. I welcome all of you as well once again into this next batch with a lot of new content as well available in this. This course is about 40 hours of duration, and I personally welcome everybody on this channel, which is the most interesting channel for SAP technical learning. You might have seen some YouTube demos on my Learning University on different areas on SAP, including SAP UI5 Fiori, Gateway, Launchpad, Security, ABAP on HANA, and S4HANA. We do have different trainings being conducted, not just on S4HANA on-premise, but also on S4HANA Cloud, SAP Fiori Launchpad, SAP UI5 development, as well as different classical topics like Web Intro, Floor Plan, ABAP, design patterns in OOPS ABAP, BRF Plus, workflows, and many more things. I'm sure would have attended some of these trainings, or you would have seen some YouTube demos on our channel. With that, let's get started. Our today's session is more about a demo session on this topic called S4HANA on-premise. In this demo session, we will look at what is that changing around us as a developer and why we would need to adapt ourselves as a developer or as a BW consultant or as a portal consultant to this new technology called S4HANA. We will understand what is the evolution of SAP ERP and what is this ABAP on HANA Stack is all about. So with that, I will just quickly brief you about the highlights of this course. In this course, we will look at the new ABAP syntax with NetWeaver 7.4 and 7.5. We will look at ABAP development on Eclipse, which is so-called ABAP development tools on Eclipse ADT. We will talk about the most discussed topic around in your company or people are asking these days in interviews about CDS views and the most powerful concepts about virtual data modeling in S4HANA. We will also talk about building analytics using CDS views, which typically as a BW consultant you were doing in the past in a BW system. We will also learn a completely new programming language called SQL script in this course, which is important for us to build scripted calculation views as well as ABAP managed data procedures. A promise from my side of zero copy paste. Most of the time, the demos or the sessions or the trainings you would have attended, you might have seen these trainers do a lot of copy paste of code. They just download some reference code from internet, show you a copy paste and run away. That is a way with which you will not be able to understand the core concepts and the mistakes we often do while writing a code, which is also very risky at times when you work on a production system, on a productive production issue. So we will look into all these codings, all these programmings without any copy paste of code. And just a prerequisite, there is zero prerequisite for this code except ABAP. If you are comfortable with ABAP language, which is again only 30% required to understand this course, wherein we will learn about ABAP tooling, ABAP syntax, new ABAP syntax, and some of the features of ABAP. Apart from that, the 70% of the content is common and it's completely new for majority of the audience, whether you come from ABAP background or non-ABAP background. In this demo session, first half, I will be taking you through my learning strategy. I will be showcasing a couple of features and discussing about the stack called ABAP on HANA Stack. In the next half of the session, I will open the room for question and answers. Then we will discuss on questions and answers. In this course, I will be highlighting here that we will be building 4 end-to-end POCs. One will be with real-time OIA scenario. Second one will be an S4HANA on-premise IDOC dashboard scenario. Then we will be building a smart filter Fiori application using flight meal assignment and BOPF integration, and also another POC on tree table in SAP Fiori using smart templates and tree table with a CDS hierarchy. So let's get started with the demo. Now you might have seen around you a lot of changes happening. Maybe you're working in SAP area for about a year, 2 year, or 5 year, or maybe 10 year or 20 year. These days you would have seen in last couple of years or 3 to 4 years to be very precise, there were many changes which has happened on the technical side. There are certain things which are now becoming obsolete like a BW system and also the portals. And as a consultant, SAP technical consultant, it is difficult for you to find the right direction and the path in position yourself to the right project where you have a sustainable career and a goal ahead. For that, what expertise are needed is something not very much transparent to all of you. In this course, I will not just make sure that I will cover the technicalities of the concepts, but also give you the right direction for your career path. You might be on everyday basis hearing everyday new things like UI5, Fiori, Launchpad, BW on HANA, S4 HANA, C4 HANA, Concur, IoT, machine learning, Leonardo. You may be thinking so much of confusion. But what exactly these things, how they are interconnected, where which thing is helping us, and why do we have so many of these technologies available? That is something we will be looking into in throughout this course to understand the overall architecture of the system and see what all the possibilities we can find out as a technical consultant and place ourselves in a good position. So let's get started with motivation of learning the new technologies. So as you can see, the recent surveys which were conducted by many of these companies like Gartner and other companies, Reuters, it has been found that 25 largest industrial corporations in 19th century, only 2 of them remained in 1950s. What happened? How did that happen? 74% of the Fortune 500 companies have changed from 1975 to 2000 in just a span of 25 years. 70% of them have changed. Percent of global 500 companies based in emerging markets, and they're growing. Then also the expected lifespan of Fortune 500 companies have come down. You can see in 1965, it was about 75 years, the age of a turtle. It has come down to an age of a wolf by 2015 to 25 years. This is a broad level perspective to give you an idea about what's going on in the overall world. This planet is changing every day, in fact, every second, with the speed of light. And we wanted to make sure that we find ourselves relevant to this planet and have a successful career in our future. So what is going on in this planet? Why it's happening and what is that happening? So basically a digital transformation is accelerating across all 500 Fortune 500 companies, which are some of them becoming also trendsetters. 64% of the enterprises become explorers and practitioners of digital transformation. Basically, they are leveraging the latest cutting edge IT technologies to be able to drive and run their businesses. It's no more paperwork. Everything is moving to computers already since years and years back, but now things are becoming more digitally transformed, especially with the penetration of internet and smartphones in the industry. It's heavily demanded that we also adapt to such changes in the digital transformation by these companies. 60%, 67% of the CEOs of Global 2000 enterprises have digital transformation at their center of the corporate strategy. And also the Fortune Global 100 enterprises are working out already on the plans for digital transformation by the end of 2017. So which means already the plan is in place by most of these companies. So what is the digital transformation? It's all about adopting the new technologies so that they can also compete with the existing and upcoming new players with technologies. Just to take a number, companies like Amazon, Google, Uber, Facebook, they are transforming the world at a speed by which other companies cannot think of. And those who could not transform themselves, they have been pretty fast out of market. Many examples like Kodak, Nokia, BlackBerry, many of these big giants companies which could not adapt to this digital transformation no more exist. Then what does it mean for the businesses? So guys, whenever we talk about business software, SAP will be the number one company in the industry, running 67% of world's GDP on SAP, hence becomes the number one company. So how is SAP transforming themselves to support enterprises with their digital transformation? So in year 1979, the first product of SAP R2 was released. Afterwards, in 1992, R3 was a revolution, so-called real-time three-tier architecture, which we all well aware of, with a product so-called ECC and ERP being in 2004, being the biggest achiever of that time. And now with 2015, SAP have launched their new ERP solution, which is called Simplified. S stands for Simplified Suite. It's a simplified version of ERP, which is actually also now known as Digital Core, the digital enterprise software for modern enterprises. That's what the new ERP phase is, S4 HANA. What is this word called HANA? And why we call it as S4 HANA? The reason being the entire implementation is based on SAP's database called HANA. It's an in-memory database. As the course name suggests, it's ABAP on HANA course and S4 HANA course. We will be learning the key capabilities of this HANA database in the first phase of our course. As I mentioned, whether you know HANA or do not HANA, it doesn't matter. We will anyway cover SAP HANA and its core competencies as a development point of view in this course. I would like to quickly brief you about that this course is designed for technical consultants, those who are working earlier in ABAP language as a WebDyn Pro, BSP, CRM consultant, or probably SAP BW consultant, or maybe working on just on HANA. And now you're seeing that companies are implementing, moving towards S4, and they're asking you to build CDS views. There are a lot of UI development, which you were doing earlier in dialog programming, WebDyn Pros, and BSPs. That's now also moving to SAP Fiori with S4 HANA. In fact, also the people who are working on Portal are now seeing a shift towards SAP Fiori Launchpad. So that is the reason I myself propels this goal for you to achieve the best target. Because when I was learning, I was lacking in the right guidance. And I have decided that I will never let anybody else feel the same in terms of guidance of what to learn and in what form and what shape and what is the right learning curve for me to adapt myself or transform myself also towards this change in ERP industry and the SAP software. So with that, what is been so far the story of S4? They have 390K plus customers in 193 countries. SAP HANA itself, its in-memory database has 23,000 customers across the global. SAP Cloud customers have reached to a mark of 150 million users. As we are talking, I think the data is also increasing. SAP Cloud Platform has got 1.5 billion hits a day. SAP S4 HANA has 8.7K customers by far. So overall, SAP has 390K customers in 193 countries, and already S4 HANA adoption has been started. And with that, it has number of 8.7. And I'm not sure, I think probably it's an old number, and then maybe there's an more increment in this number by as and when we are talking. Business networks, 2 trillion USD transactions and 3 million suppliers. With SAP Leonardo, support for 25 industries are already available. So you can see already the companies are moving towards S4 HANA, so-called the ABAP on HANA-based architecture. And it's quite important as a developer, as a professional, software professional, myself also to adapt to these changing needs. Because every day when I go to office, I've been asked to code something on Fiori, or I've been asked to explore something on CDS, and I have no clue where to get started. When I look at internet, I found it's an ocean, and I have clearly no direction of what should do, what should be done, how should be done, and what is the right practice to do it. At times, I was probably able to refer some blogs on the internet, copy paste the code, and build some POCs, build some CDS, and show my manager. But still, myself not confident enough that have I learned it right? Have I got half cooked food, or did I really put my heart and soul to cook this food? That's so important for us. So that will be the main idea. It is a very detailed training where we will be learning all these techniques, which are latest techniques on S4 HANA as well as ABAP on HANA technology stack. So where does the S4 HANA lies? S4 HANA, as you can see, lies as a central strategy for SAP, being the intelligent business suite now in the market. And SAP has inorganically acquired a lot of other cloud products like SAP Ariba, SAP Concur, Fieldglass, SuccessFactors, and recently they've done a Calidus Cloud acquisition as well. So now with that, SAP penetrating good into the cloud market, the cloud space, competing with existing players like Salesforce.com. Also, there are players like Amazon and Microsoft in the cloud world. So SAP would like to get its share in the ERP business into the cloud. I could proudly say that SAP is the only company which has the caliber and capacity to do ERP in the cloud. All the other companies who proclaim to be themselves a cloud company maybe cannot scale up to the level which SAP can really do that. So this is a good technology to bet in. As a technical consultant or as a functional consultant, I should definitely would like to bet my career into such an amazing technology. Now, with that, basically, it's all about moving towards intelligent enterprise. Now, what is exactly the difference in the on-premise and a cloud-based solution? So many times this question may come, you might have heard about people talking about S4 HANA. In S4 HANA, then they talk about S4 HANA on-premise and S4 HANA cloud. So before we get into the S4 HANA itself, let's understand what is the difference when you go for a software implementation in an on-premise world or in a cloud world. What exactly is the difference? So when you come down, you would understand it with a very simple, easy example. So let's talk about it. So now you see, imagine I need to make a pizza, or I want to eat the pizza. So it's almost in the evening and I'm hungry and I would like to have a pizza with a cold drink. So what I would do is probably I can go to supermarket and purchase chips, toppings. I can purchase pizza dough. I can buy the tomato sauce, and I have to then buy an oven from the kitchens and install the oven, have the electrical or gas kitchen, and then we have a soda and a dining table, everything I need to do, and I need to prepare it by myself. So if you look at this example, it is similar to on-premise world. In on-premise world, the entire software and the requirement for the hardware is owned by the customer. So if you would like to implement an on-premise SAP solution, you got to buy these expensive hardwares, these certified hardwares, which are by certified vendors of SAP. You got to install the entire software in your own data center. You have to buy some physical space and the hardware and set up everything. You need people to manage that, so-called the basis guys, who will take care of installation, setup, and then you will get into a licensing contract with SAP for about, let's say, 10-year or 5-year, where you have to pay licensing fees, and then you have to manage all the users, create users, give authorizations, develop everything in-house if you have some custom requirement. So if you consider making a pizza, in this case, it's an on-premise case where you get everything. You need oven, fire, pizza dough, sausages, everything you need to make a pizza and eat a pizza is all what you need to arrange yourself. It's equivalent to an on-premise installation where you manage everything. Now, when you move to the little more advanced way, where I would want to then go for a take and bake. So there are a lot of ready to eat pizzas available. You just go to the supermarket, you buy this frozen food, bring it at home, put it into the oven, and then just bake it. and then you have the pizza ready. So in this, you will basically safeguard the pizza dough, tomato sausages, toppings, and cheese. You buy that ready-made. So there are a lot of players in this market like Baskin and Robbins, and then you have McKay and Papa John's, and there are a lot of players in this area who make the pizzas, who just put the pizzas, do nitrogen packing, and deliver it to the supermarkets. And you can buy from there, put it in your oven, bring it, put it in the oven, and make it ready. So here now, if you see, this bottom part is managed by the vendor. However, still the top part, which is oven, fire, kitchen, and the dining table, including the plates, is managed by you. So this type of setup in software industry is compared to be infrastructure as a service, where you get something in the cloud, where you want to develop a solution, a software, you get this infrastructure ready in the cloud. So there are a lot of vendors like Microsoft, Azure, Amazon AWS, Google Cloud Platform, SAP Cloud Platform. You buy from them a cloud solution where they will take care of installation and hardware, but you have to then build your own programming logic to build your software. So that's an infrastructure as a service. Yeah. Then comes this platform as a service. In the platform as a service, what you also do is then you also get this oven on the rent, the fire on the rent, and all these things, electric chula on the rent. You get it, and then you just need to make it and serve it. Basically, you just need a dining table and soda. So this is kind of a pizza delivery model where you just order a pizza. They will host everything. They have the oven, they have the fire, they have the dough, they have everything. They will just make it and deliver it to your address. So this is more of like a platform as a service offering, where you get also the not just the hardware, but on top of it, the programming language support for the runtimes like Java, Node.js, HTML, and all. And then on top of it, you just write your code and run it directly in their infrastructure, their cloud platform, which is offered as a platform as a service. So SAP Cloud Platform is an example for platform as a service, as a pizza delivered. Last but not the least, you don't have to worry about anything. You just go into the restaurant, eat the pizza, come back. You don't need to arrange a dining table, plates, cleaning up, housekeeping, nothing. Everything is as a service. That's exactly equivalent to software as a service, a cloud solution. A pure cloud solution is a solution where vendor manages everything. So now imagine, guys, if vendor is managing everything, you don't have to hire people. You don't have to hire basis people to install the software and manage it for long term. You don't have to hire these high demanding or high salaried consultants. The complete solution is built in on a best practice, the industry best practice. And this solution, you can straight away use it, and you can right away start it right after 1 hour. So you just contact the subscriber and you inform that you want a solution, and they can activate a solution and give it to you in as soon as 1 hour. So you don't have to get it into a licensing contract, but here it's more or less a subscription-based model. That's a software as a service. You don't have to manage anything. You just get the software directly consumable on the internet, consume it, do your work, close the browser, done. Not that all, you can access it on mobile, tablet, and all the smartphones. So now you see, this is the latest trend in the market. Companies are moving towards cloud, where they don't want to spend on costly hardwares. They don't want to spend on people who manage this hardware, who manage the installation and setup. And that is the reason even basis consultants are finding it difficult to position themselves in the market. And a lot of them contacting me on regular basis asking, Anubhav, is it good for us to switch to now programming? Because we do see a change in the industry, people moving towards cloud, and there's no need, they don't want us anymore to manage these CD based software in the company. So that's a software as a service. A simple example of that is Gmail. You don't have to install anything for Gmail. Just open the browser, type gmail.com, and send an email. Yeah, it's completely a solution which is offered into the cloud, software as a service. So I hope this gives a clear idea to all of you the difference between on-premise and software. So guys, SAP S4HANA is available as a solution, as a ERP software, both in on-premise as well as in cloud. So you can also bring the CDs of S4HANA and have a typical ERP-like setup where your company own the hardware, your company own everything, and they install using CDs within your company. Or you can go directly with the software as a service, where you can get started with SAP S/4HANA Cloud directly as a software as a service. You don't have to invest on hardware as well as the complicated system setup and all that. Here in the on-premise, the delivery model or the charging model will be based on the licensing fees, which is conventional way of delivering. However, in software as a service, it is based on subscription model. Subscription model, as in you have to use pay per use. For example, your mobile plan or internet plan. So you pay as much as you use it or based on number of users. That's based on subscription model. Yeah. So that's a quick difference between on-premise and the cloud world. Just for your information, SAP S/4HANA, which is the new ERP solution, is available both in on-premise as well as cloud version. In this training, we will focus on SAP S/4HANA on-premise. However, you can check our website onlinefurytrainings.com for more details on SAP S/4HANA cloud course also. So I am sure many of you would have seen a change that your company is implementing S4, and I can be rest assured that I think most of you are going with OP. OP stands for on-premise. So in that case, this course is relevant. However, if you're confirmed that probably it's the cloud version, then you can probably go for the SAP S/4HANA cloud course on our website. Now, let's talk about what is changing for you as a developer. So this is about on the top level, at the functional level, or probably at the solution level, or the industry level, things are changing. But what boils down or what bothers you as a developer, as a technical consultant, as a ABAP consultant, BW consultant, or as a SAP technical consultant or solution architect, what exactly changing for you? Yeah. So typically when we look at any ERP system, any three-tier architecture-based ECC box or a CRM, PLM, SRM, any one of them, you would observe we have these three layers, three-tier real-time architecture. The first one is called presentation layer. Second one is called the application layer. And the last one is called database layer. So this is what we learned when we started learning ABAP. Whenever you started your career, this was, I think, the first lesson you would have learned as part of your any of the ABAP training or any of the SAP training. This is something which is common. Everybody knows about it. Be it a functional consultant also, they understand this three-tier architecture. So now the complete ABAP language is actually going to do execution in this application layer. And we use the database layer more or like a storage medium. Yeah, we just use it for the purpose of just storing the data. So typical flow of writing an ABAP program is we use something called a dialog programming. On the front end side, and then we use here ABAP programming on the application layer. And typical flow is you read the data using select queries. After you read the data, you bring this data into an internal table. So you do a loop at ITAB. Whenever you write a report or some kind of screen program, you loop at ITAB and then you manipulate the data in the loop, and then you say end loop. And then probably you update the data back to the database layer. So that's a typical flow of any ABAP program, what you guys being doing or probably were doing, be it a WebDynPro, be it BSP, whatever, you will probably use this way of coding. Yeah, but what's changing in industry? So guys, as I've shown you in the previous slides, the industry is changing pretty fast. It's basically transforming itself to digitally. Now, the disadvantage of the current architecture is, first biggest disadvantage is user experience. You cannot get a good user experience when it comes to this typical SAP GUI based screens, because these screens, SAP GUI cannot be installed on a mobile device. Hence, you would not probably get that good user experience as it's supposed to be in a mobile devices, being a tablet or a mobile phone. The second biggest disadvantage is session stickiness. Session stickiness, as in when you might have observed this when you working with an ABAP program, and then it's a lunchtime and you go for lunch. When you come back, you see your session times out. Why it happens? And all the work which you unsaved is kind of gone. Yeah. So the SAP system, how it works is whenever you connect from SAP GUI to your SAP system, it basically creates a session in the application layer for you. So maximum up to 7 external sessions you can open. And whenever you connect to the system, there is a session context which stores or holds the information about the user which is connected. And this session has a timeout. Okay, it's basically a timeout time which is set for these sessions, and whenever the timeout hits, basically it's called dialogue work process timeout, and typically set by your basis person in RZ11 transaction code. And if it's times out, what happens is your session gets killed, and you get this nice message that your session being terminated by administrator. Please re-log in. So that's a bigger disadvantage, as in, because this application layer has certain limitations. If you want to go more number of users and more number of sessions, be it up to let's say million, then you would have to scale up the system, and the cost of scaling is very high. You got to install a lot of these application server. There will be one central instance, and all the scalability comes into picture. But when it comes to giving access of your solution to the mobile users on the internet, what it makes is it makes many number of calls. So you cannot stick to the session all the time because it may time out. Yeah. So you cannot go with this kind of architecture currently because session is a big problem. The third bigger problem is about collaboration. There is no collaboration. So you might have seen that when you try to edit a purchase order or sales order, after entering all 200 fields, at the end you get the save button, and you click on save button, then you get an error. Okay boss, this material group is not proper, or this plant is not proper, or this material doesn't belong to this sales organization. You do not get the constant feedback from the application at runtime. Rather, you get that very end towards the transaction when you hit the save button. So this is another disadvantage which kind of deteriorates the user experience, and then you have to correct all the fields one by one, and it's very irritating at times working with these kind of screens. Plus, there is also no offline access. Offline access as in I cannot edit things offline while I'm working with the things on offline. I cannot do that. I don't have integration with things like internet based services. I don't have integration with messaging, WhatsApp, probably with the call service. I don't have those integrations today with SAP GUI. The screen looks discrete, and everybody's building on their own style. However, at the same time, you have a lot of advantage with such a system. So why companies invested heavily on SAP solution? Like, because they get workflows, they get BOPF, they get customizings, they get SPRO, they get SM30, they get data dictionary, they get custom development, they get bodies, they get BAPIs, they get integrations. So a lot of these benefits are still there with the system. So how can we now transform this system to a new system where you also have those advantages, at the same time you also overcome these disadvantages and support this modern digital transformation? So that's exactly happening in the recent couple of days and couple of years and months, and that's where all these three layers of your R3 architecture are actually going through a innovation. I would call it as an evolution. Yeah. So what is this evolution happening in these three layers? Let's talk about it quickly in a quick dictionary. So first of all, the presentation layer, I'm sure if you are working on SAP, you definitely might have heard about. It's actually moving to SAP UI5 based applications. So UI5 is a framework which allows you to build mobile supportive responsive applications. So basically you write a code once, and this code is capable of running, same code runs on mobile, tablet and desktop, and gives you a good user experience. That's the beauty of SAP UI5 framework. However, in this context, in this course, we will not learn SAP UI5. Yet, I will show you some techniques and tools with which you can build couple of applications on S4 HANA without learning UI5 also. Yeah, we have something called smart templates, which can build these applications out of the box for you without much effort, without knowing the SAP UI5 know-how. Yeah, that's there. However, if you have still UI5 knowledge as a custom development of UI5, it's a great advantage. If not, no problem. You don't need to have that as a prerequisite for this. Then comes is the middleware layer. The middleware layer is actually considered to be the technical foundation for SAP system and all SAP solutions, and that is called SAP NetWeaver. That's our SAP NetWeaver is a technical platform for all SAP applications. This NetWeaver is also evolving. The older versions were like 7.0 up to Now we have 7.53 is the latest version of NetWeaver in the market. Yeah, and typically also your application, as you see earlier, we used to have ECC, then we have got Business Suite, then we have got Suite on HANA, and then we have got S4 HANA now. So this layer is also undergoing through many functional as well as technical changes. We will be learning some key capabilities like CDS views and AMDP as part of this section. Also, there are tooling improvement, like you can connect via Eclipse. You can also work with the latest tooling features and performance improvements, and finding out the performance pitfalls in the system. And also we will learn about how what it makes for you as an ABAP developer when your company moves to S4 HANA from a business suite. Yeah, what does it mean for you as an ABAP developer? What is that you supposed to do? We will understand the roles and responsibility of a developer here in this game. Last but not the least, this layer has got actually a real innovation. And here now we have a database called SAP HANA, which is so-called an in-memory hybrid database, which is the main reason of all these changes. Yeah. So this is the last but not the least layer, the database layer, where there is a very powerful in-memory database engine called SAP HANA Computing Engine is now available. Now, this allows us to achieve more as compared to the last time. So earlier, what used to happen, guys, this was the flow of programming. You used to write select, you used to pull all the data. You used to pull all the data from the database system to the application layer. No matter, even you have to do a small change, you got to pull all the data. Yeah, basically all the data you got to pull, and then you got to loop over this data. You have to do all these manipulations and then push this data back to the database. Yeah, but now, guys, with the new architecture, which we will also see it in our next slide, the power of SAP HANA, it is possible to do this complex computation logic which you see it here directly in the database. The advantage of this approach is, since you are doing this directly deep into the database layer, which is so-called HANA layer, you would save a lot of performance. How? You can see this manipulation when it takes in application layer. You got to first move all the data to the application layer, and then you have to run all the processing logic here in the application layer. So this is a very big disadvantage. So you have to move and then process, yeah, and then move back. But if I push down my logic into the database, what I just need to do, I need to send a signal from here. Hey, I want to do this. It can do all the processing directly within the database. It can, since it has the data also here, it can also update this data directly in the database table right away. And only the final result, whether update was successful or not, it sends it. So point one is the network time is reduced. So this network time which was taken earlier to transfer the data between these two layers has significantly come down, because the data set, the amount and the volume of the data which was transferred has actually come down. The second biggest advantage, SAP HANA, which I'll show you in my next slide. What is HANA? It's an innovation which allows us to do complex computations right into the database layer, making the database layer more powerful. As a result of that, these computations can be performed much faster as compared to what you used to do in ABAP layer. So this complete complete flow, or this complete way of programming, or this paradigm of programming, is called code to data paradigm. So as a pictorial representation, if I would like to represent, the old approach was you were writing more processing on the application side, and database was just as a storage which was just used to store the data. So more and more processing was taking place on the application layer. And now with SAP HANA being your database, it's actually flipped the pyramid. Yeah. If you flip the pyramid, what happens is, here in this case, basically the transformation happens between these layers, and more logic now gets executed directly in the database layer. So your more processing logic is now being done in the database layer as compared to the application layer. And that's what is also another motive of this learning throughout our course, to learn the techniques which we can use to utilize best out of SAP HANA and achieve this programming using code to data, and this is called code to data paradigm. Okay. So code to data paradigm interview question: what is code to data paradigm? It's a paradigm, or it's a way of transforming our processing logic to the database layer, or pushing down the processing logic, complicated processing logic, to the database layer, so that this can be processed much faster, and the result set which is produced can be transferred at a faster pace to the application layer. So that is the true leveraging SAP HANA. So what is code to data paradigm? In interview, somebody asked, what is code to data paradigm? What should be our answer? So let's write down here, code to data paradigm. So it is a technique using technology and tools to be able to transform or transfer the complex business logic deep into the database layer. As a result, the data transfer between application and DB layer reduces. Also, the speed is increased in computation using the DB as HANA. That's exactly code to data paradigm. Processing, pushing down your processing logic deep into the database and getting the final outcome out of it. Now, what makes this database so special, so-called SAP HANA? So if you see SAP S4 HANA, it's actually a business suite which implemented on top of HANA. So by default, the database which SAP S4 HANA runs is SAP HANA database. All right, that's the default database on which SAP runs in S4 HANA. However, there is an evolution. We will look at this evolution in our next chapter. First, we got HANA, then we got BW on HANA, then we got Suite on HANA, and then finally we got S4 HANA. So what is this evolution? We will talk about in our upcoming chapter. But let's discuss about what is HANA then. So most of you, I assume, are from technical background and are mainly ABAP background or WebDyn Pro, BSP or BW background. So maybe you have never come across this explore across this concept of SAP HANA. So we will discuss from scratch what is SAP HANA, its evolution, and how HANA has changed the way we look at the ERP solution. So what is HANA? HANA stands for High Performance Analytical Appliance. Now, the first question which comes here, understand carefully, is high performance. The very first thing they're clearly mentioning, it's a very high performance. How do we get this high performance? We'll discuss in a minute. Analytical, it has analytical capabilities, which means it can do large amount of data processed and aggregate it much faster. Aggregate means, let's say I have sales order data where I have net value of each sales order. I can do quickly all these million records. I can sum up quickly and find out the total amount of sales order per customer or per sales organization or per plant or something like that. I can do that. So that's why it has analytical capabilities, which we will also be exploring throughout this course. And then it's called appliance. Now this is very important. It's not called a DBMS. Yeah, you might have seen that it's considered to be a DBMS, database management system. No, it's called appliance. Why it's called appliance? Because it's not just a DBMS, not just a software. It's a combination of hardware and software. That is the reason it is called appliance, which means you cannot simply run SAP HANA in a normal machine, in a normal computer. You got to buy certified certified hardware from SAP certified vendors, and only on those certified machines, SAP HANA can be installed and executed. However, you might have heard about something called SAP HANA Express Edition. SAP HANA Express Edition is a lightweight HANA designed for the purpose of single tenant or single developer to be able to execute SAP HANA in a local machine. However, it still has a requirement of minimum 20 gigabytes of RAM in the machine, but it's mainly for demo and training purpose and a single developer purpose, not for productive purpose. But the productive SAP HANA, if you would like to implement your company, they need to do heavy investment in buying these complicated machines from certified SAP vendors, and only then they can go with SAP HANA implementation. So now, which clearly means there's a hardware and there's a software. Now, guys, what exactly in these recent years have changed in the industry which made this innovation possible in terms of hardware and in terms of software? So when you look at let's look at hardware first of all. So guys, we all know the basic architecture of a computer. So we have typically central processing unit, it's called CPU. This is, you might have learned about 8084 ICs in your engineering days, where we used to write move A, comma B. This is kind of an instruction you give to CPU, and then CPU does some processing within its registers. Yeah. So that's kind of instructions which CPU can understand. These are called instructions. Okay. So now this CPU is having the processing power. On top of the CPU, we have the RAM, random access memory. This random access memory is the closest memory to to a CPU, which can communicate to the CPU register. CPU can communicate to the RAM, directly address the RAM, and then it can pull the data, and then it can do the processing and push back the data to the RAM. So this is the nearest memory. It's also known as primary memory. Now coming on the other side, we have finally the hard disk, which is called secondary memory. Yeah, this is called secondary memory, which is actually called a persistent store. So when the light goes off, what happens? The data in the RAM get vanished. Yeah, it's a primary memory. However, the RAMs, they are built by fabrication, and the hard disks are built by electromagnetic tapes. We call them cylinders. Okay, so the way the manufacturing happens is different. The cost of a RAM is higher than the cost of a hard disk, because hard disk is built by electromagnetic tapes, and then here this RAM is built by fabrication of complicated micro semiconductor electronics. So that's why the cost of this is little higher on the higher side, hence as also the CPU cost is little on the higher side. No, so now if you want to increase the speed of your processing, you got to need a very high performance CPU. At the same time, you can see the bottleneck for us to do the processing faster is this bottleneck, this part here. This is the bottleneck, because in this bottleneck, if you really look at, the data transfer between the hard disk and the RAM should also take place, and only then CPU can read this data from the RAM. So this becomes a performance bottleneck in a typical RDBMS system. So look at an Oracle system or anything, any typical RDBMS system. These systems, they basically store the data in the hard disk, which becomes a bottleneck to first fetch the data here, and then from here CPU to read the data and then do the processing. So the idea is to now move all the data or keep all the data in the RAM itself. And that's why it becomes an in-memory database. So a database which keeps all the data in the RAM becomes an in-memory database, hence removing this bottleneck. But does it mean that you don't need ever the hard disk? You still need the hard disk. That is only for the backup and recovery purpose. However, you can go with the RAM. But how is that possible? Because recent years, the memory, the CPU cost and the memory cost have come down drastically. So I still remember in year 2000, 2004, I purchased my first MP3 player, and it was having a 256 megabytes of RAM and megabytes of memory. And it used to store about 20 MP3 songs. And I was very happy with that. When by the time I joined my first company, I have got my first iPod with 2 gigabytes of RAM, and as the same cost as I've got that MP3 player about like 10 years back. So the CPU cost have come down, or the RAM or the memory cost have come down over years. Yeah. So that has made it possible now software engineers or the software developers or these big companies like SAP to innovate by leveraging this cost which has come down for the RAM. Now it is also possible to fabricate using advanced semiconductor electronics to embed multiple core of processing units in CPUs. Yeah, you might have heard about when you buy a smartphone, octa-core processor, right? Quad-core processor. What does it mean? One CPU plate, one chip has multiple cores, which makes it possible to actually, you can visualize it as a one CPU, but it has four processing units inside. Quad-core processor, right? It has four processing units inside. So it's a quad-core processor, which means it's also possible with the advanced microprocessor techniques to fabricate multiple cores. And we are actually getting these kind of processors now on the smartphones these days. Yeah, octa-core processor, quad-core processors. We are getting these kind of processors also. So the processor cost also has come down, and the latest technologies, hardware fabricators like Intel, AMD like companies, they are able to fabricate large number of cores on a single chip, which also gives an advancement to the hardware technology. Yeah. So multi-core processors, and now with companies like Microsoft and Mac OS and Linux, they are able to build the operating systems which can pass instructions to CPU at higher rate. Yeah. How is it possible? So you remember we in our laboratory for microprocessor, we used to learn move A comma B, right? We used to do that. But how fast, so the overall speed of your operating system is determined by how fast it can pass instructions to the CPU, right? So now it's possible that we get 64-bit operating system. You might have heard about 32-bit OS, 64-bit OS. So 64-bit OS means it can pass the instruction at a much faster speed to the CPU, so that it can do the manipulation much faster, guys. So that's another benefit which you are getting in this industry. As a result of that, you are able to come down or bring the cost down and increase the overall performance of the computers. So now you can also achieve parallel processing. So since you have multiple cores, each core can process one instruction. So which means if you have four cores, then you can process four instructions at a time, which was earlier only processed by one CPU. So the parallel processing is also another biggest advantage you are getting out of the box when it comes to these latest technologies. Yeah. So that's another advantage you are getting. So these are all some hardware innovations which has made this innovation of SAP HANA possible. Now, what about the software innovation? What do you mean by software innovation? So as you see, it's an appliance, not just a hardware innovation, but also software innovation. So what was the software innovations? The biggest innovation in the software also was something called compression. We have got advanced compression techniques, so we can fit more data in the same RAM, in the same memory, by doing compression on the data. You might have seen the tools like WinRAR, WinZip. What are all these tools? They are compression tools. They can reduce the size of a file. And similarly, in the database, we have different techniques with which you can compress the data. So you don't have to store the data duplicate. Rather, you can store one data at a time, and you can compress the data by using the reverse indexing. A lot of these different processes are there. So your storage requirement actually comes down with the help of compression. So that's one innovation in the software industry. We have also the table partitioning. Table partitioning is a concept where you have a database table, and each of these group of tables can be partitioned and keep in different areas of your memory. So let's say a less used area where I do take more time to access, the less used table is kept in that area. Where the most burning, the frequent area where I know that this material table I'm going to use every day, every second. So in that case, I would keep it in the most active area of my memory. So that way you can also partition the data. You can keep the most active data in one place. You can keep the not most active data in some other place to actually increase your processing power. Invest in resources which are needed on frequent basis more than the resources which are not needed so frequently. So that's another feature which you get as a software industry. The another biggest software innovation which has happened is column store. the way we store data, guys. The way we store data in the database is actually the key differentiating factor of being this SAP HANA is the most powerful database on the planet as compared to any other databases like column store. What is column store? So typically, if you look at any RDBMS database table, it stores the data in the row fashion. Yeah, and the row fashion data is always stored in memory actually in a subsequent continuously linear fashion. So suppose if I look at my sales order data, I have a sales order number 1001, and then I have a sales organization 1000, and I have a ship to party as ship 1, I have a sold to party as sold 1, and then I have probably material number 10, material MAT 1, with a quantity of, let's say, or maybe let's say amount of, let's say, 300 euros. So this is one record. And now when the next record comes, it will come at a subsequent memory positions. So you can see the records will come like this in a row store fashion. So maybe I just keep it order 2, ship to party 2, sold to party 1, material 10, material number X with 400 euros. Then it comes to the 3, and now I just say ship to party 1, sold to party 2, material 10 and material Y, and then I have this as a 500 euros, and then I will have the last one is 4, and this is again for a different sales organization, different ship to party and different sold to party, and then a material mat E with, let's say, for 50 euros. So now if you look at, this is how the row store works. Any database data management system, typically, let's say Oracle, MySQL, DB6, all these database management system, DBMS systems, they use row store concept to store the data in a sequential memory order. In memory, it is stored like this, and it is also accessed in the same order, left to right, top to bottom. This is the flow of accessing all the data typically in all the data management systems, which stores in a row format. But when it comes to row format, now imagine if I want to write a query, if I want to read, please get me what is the total sales made by my company. That is the question I asked to database. Now I ask a question, hey database, please tell me what is the total sales made by my company. If you ask this question to database, what do you think what will happen? Database now has to process all these cells. Yeah, it goes like this, left to right. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Come on, come on. There you go. It finds an amount. Then again it processes. Okay, go on, go on, go on, and then it finds another amount. And then it continues. Okay, go on, and go on, go on, go on, go on. It finds another amount. Go on, go on, go on, go on, go on, and then you finds another amount. So basically, to just find the amount, it has to sequentially traverse or go through all the database, all the records in this order, linear order, left to right, top to bottom, which is so much of work for such a database system. To just read the amount values, it has to travel through the values. That is the biggest advantage. So first disadvantage is to traverse through the cells even we don't need them. This is first biggest disadvantage of row store database. The second disadvantage, at times you see performance is very low. They will say, hey, your performance is very low. Then as a developer, what you guys do? You create indexes, right? What you do? You create indexes. So I will create an index here. Typically it's called secondary index, and maybe I will create this index on a sales group or maybe material number or something for a sales order. It's a secondary index. Now guys, what index does, it stores the data. It stores the column which you want to create an index on, and it also stores the row number for that column to basically give a speed to the access of the data. That's what index does. So now actually it increases the storage requirement for you again. When you create an index, it again stores the same data, duplicates here with the row number. It increases the storage requirement. So to speed up the fast access, we need indexes, which increase the time. Yeah, that's another disadvantage. Yeah, which increase, sorry, the storage requirement. So you have to need more storage now. Now, also, in this case, if you, for example, there is a record which is deleted. If I delete this record, what happens? Due to compliance of an enterprise, you cannot simply delete a record. Even though you're deleting, changing, or updating anything, you need to have something called change document written, which tells is in the system what was changed. So there's also a need to have a change document written in the SAP system. So might have about change documents, track changes, log changes. So it has to track the changes. Change document needs to be written, which again increase the storage space. So again, this is a disadvantage of row store. When we change the data due to compliance, a change record is written. The data gets deleted or changed, but a change record needs to be written. And this whole record will be written in this change document actually. The whole record has to be written actually to track the changes, all right? That's another disadvantage of row store. Are you getting the disadvantage? So you are creating a lot of overhead on the system to just gain some little bit of benefit. So indexes, overhead again, to just gain a little bit of performance. Again, deletion to take care of compliance. You have also created another overhead on the system. The fourth disadvantage of row store, when you're traversing through the data, you basically traverse through all data, even you don't need the data, those data which you don't need, you still have to traverse the data. The fourth disadvantage is non-unique values are stored multiple times. Yes. So imagine guys, you look at here, material one, see how many times is stored. One, okay, maybe not material, maybe let's say sales organization. So you see sales organization 1000 is stored at one place, two place, three place. So same value is which is repeating, it's also stored multiple times. What happens? Even the memory requirement is more now to store this data, though it's the same data, but you're storing it multiple times, guys. So these are all the biggest disadvantage of a typical RDBMS system. Yeah. Now, if I show you a database table in a SAP system, let me quickly log into our SAP system, which we will be using during our training. And guys, this system you can access from your local machine. You see the beauty of this system. It's a latest SAP S/4HANA 1809 server with SAP NetWeaver 7.53, with SAP Fiori 2.0 in it, with SAP Fiori Launchpad, Designer, Gateway, ADT Access, also OData services. Everything you can practice in this system. We'll discuss more about it towards the end of the course. Sorry, at the end of this session in your question and answer about more on system. But let me just quickly connect to this system first. So I will just connect to the system and open our very famous database table called Mara table. So let me just quickly connect to this system. I just enter my credentials. And just quickly go in. And I will open here the most renowned table called Mara. If you observe and go into these database tables, any of the table you can pick up, not necessarily Mara. What you see, guys, most of our columns in Mara table or any other transaction table or master table you pick up, they all have repeating values. See, they all have repeating values. See, most of the columns, you see, they have repeating values. You see this almost everywhere. It's MMM, everywhere it's MMM. Or some majority of these columns, if you observe, they have repeating values, guys. Repeating values. Are you guys clear? Is it so? You might have observed these things. You have repeating values. See here, repeating values, constantly repeating values. Now, this would definitely need more storage actually, because you are storing these repeating values in the database. And if you look at this Mahara table, it has about 293 plus columns. Yeah. If you come into the table, it's, oh my God, it has 329 columns. And to be very honest, I can bet you, I can say easily at least 250 plus columns have repeating values, which are ideally one or two values, which are just repeating. How effective the row store will be in such a case, guys? Doesn't make sense. Are you guys clear with the disadvantage of row store? So now introducing the first, the most important or innovating technique which SAP HANA adopted, converting this row store to a column store. What it does basically, it will have all these columns broken down into tiny tables. So each of your record, each of your value is broken down in a tiny table. So now you see the sales order number, I'll store it like this. Like this, yeah. The second thing, which is second column, which is my ship to party, I can just ship one. In the first record, it's ship one. In second record, it's ship two. Third record is ship one again, and last record ship X. The third column, which I have, is sold to party, SOL1, SOL1 again, SOL2, and SOLDS. The fourth column and the fifth column, and so on, the last column, we will just quickly break it down into tiny tables. So this is a column store setup, which is not a row store setup. In this column store setup, basically every table or every column is broken down or considered to be a tiny database table. Okay, just assume it's a tiny database table. So this is how database stores now the data. It doesn't store in that way. So mat1, then we have matx, and then we have maty, and then we have, of course, I missed the sales organization, guys. Let me just also add that up quickly. Our sales organization field. So 1000, 1000, 1000 for third record, 1002 for the fourth record. And then we have here our values in euros, 300, 400, 500, and 150. And then it's all euros, 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 and euros. Awesome. Cool. Now assume, look at this, guys. This is your column store. The way you're storing data is in the column format. What is the biggest advantage? Ask your database now the same question. Hey, can you tell me the total sales made by my company? What do you think, guys? Does it now need to travel through these things? Does it need to travel to any tiny table? All these tiny tables to get the order amount? Yes or no? No, na? Right? What it has to do? It has to just to go to directly to this tiny table, do a total of 4 things, 1, 2, 3, 4, calculate the total and give it to you. Awesome. Biggest advantage, guys, aggregations can be built on fly. Those who work on BW, you know that you do batch reporting in BW. You lot of time you persist the aggregated data in BW to speed up your analytic operations. But now with SAP HANA, you can do that aggregation real time on the real data. What is aggregation? What is this on-fly aggregates? All these concepts we will discuss in upcoming days. Don't panic. Those who have no clue about BW, don't worry. Even I'm an ABAP developer. I was an ABAP developer. So don't worry. I will teach you all these basic concepts of BW, which is required to learn these stuff, these trends and these terms. They are fancy terms. We will understand them from scratch, step by step, line by line, no copy paste of code. So now it will total up these values and quickly give you the results. It will produce the results faster. So the first advantage is you're building the aggregates faster. Now each tiny table is an index. Amazing. What is an index? It's your column. It's your column and the index number. So now look at each tiny table. It is itself an index. Yeah. Each tiny. So you don't need extra indexes. Bye bye. Bye bye, guys. When you do column store, each tiny table itself is an index and you can read the data accordingly. So in that case, you get a great advantage of using this architecture where you don't need extra indexes. However, moving to the third point where the records are, when you delete or change a record, you need to compliant. So what happens in HANA, we use an option called insert only approach in HANA. Okay. So this is all inner processing of HANA, guys. Okay, insert only approach. So you don't. I'm just teaching these concepts of core concepts of HANA to make you understand what made this amazing innovation happen. So these are all the techniques which SAP have used to build this HANA DB. You don't have to do all these things. You don't have to see, okay, where is my column? Show me my column. You don't have to do that. It's just behind the scene for you, available for you. So if you understand what's going on behind the scene, it's easy to relate what is bringing the necessary or desired performance out. You can easily explain somebody else. You can yourself also understand what has made this possible to bring such an amazing performance. So insert only approach, what happens, data is never deleted. Data is never changed. Rather, every new data which comes up, it is stored as a new value. Okay, that's what called insert only approach. So what is the advantage? So suppose if I don't have to delete, somebody have inserted 100, 200, 300. This is my current data. I have now changed this 200 to 400. So what I do is I will have something called a key. That's something which database will have for every value, every record. Okay, this key will be there, and you can consider this key as, let's say, row number. So let's say 100 is at row number 1, 200 is 2, and 300 is 3. What we do is when user change this 200 from 2 to 200 to 200 to 400, what we do again, we again insert this data with same primary key. Now I'll say, Anubhav, are you crazy? How is this possible with the same primary key? No, guys, there is not just this as a primary key. We also have something called timestamp. When was this record number 2 inserted the last? And now when you changed it, what is the timestamp? So now look at the advantage. You don't have to now search the data to modify point 1. You just insert with the latest timestamp. Now, when you fire a select query, what database does? It only fetches the record with latest timestamp and the primary key. It will simply discard this record while reading. So as a result, you still get latest updated value 402 and 303. So from end user point of view as a developer, you will still get your updated data 400. But behind the scene database is a timestamp. Now this significantly reduces the requirement to search the data and update the data. Processing time improved. Next is all your compliance for tracking the changes is also done within the same column store. Yeah, that compliance is also, so you no more need those change documents anymore. Awesome. You also don't need these change documents to be written for whole record all over again. Your storage requirement significantly comes down with column store. Your performance drastically improves, amazingly improves. Your storage requirement drastically comes down with the column store way of storing the data. Now also look at here, storage space, how does it reduce? You see here the repeating values of sales organization. It's repeating on record number 1, 2, 3, and 2. Sorry, 1, 2, 3, it's repeating. So how do I store that sales organization data? I don't have to store it in this way. I can store it in a different way. I can say, hey, this 1000 which you have, it is at one number, row number 1, row number 2, and row number 3. That's it. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. I don't need this data anymore. I just say 1001 is actually stored at row number 1, 2, and 3. Yeah. That's what I can tell the system. 1, 2, and 3. Yeah. Oops. It's basically just adding this guy. Yeah. And this 1002 is stored at position number 4. That's all. So now see guys, 3 times when it was storing 1000 in a row store, but now in a column store, it's just storing at one time and it's saying, hey, at position 1 to 3, it's stored. Yeah. So this way you see data automatically naturally compressed. You don't have to store now the data multiple times, which was actually happening in a row store. The compression naturally comes. You can further compress this also. Okay. So there are a lot of compression techniques you can apply to compress this data further. So wherever you have repeating sets, again, you can further complex by making reverse indexes. So a lot of these techniques are there to further compress this data, but actually you can see the storage requirement have come down. So all 4 problems are solved as compared to your aggregations can be built now at real time. That's why real time embedded analytics possible in S4HANA. You have speed of access of data because you don't have to travel through all the cells anymore. You have compliance already met with the insert only approach and a timestamp. You don't have to search the data to update it. You have also the data values is stored which are which are repeating set of values stored only at once. This definitely significantly increases the power and also increase the performance and reduces the storage cost, storage requirement. Hence, you keep all the data in the RAM, and now CPU can process this directly and much faster speed. So this bottleneck is removed, and this is only used for backup and recovery purpose. That's the overall concept of SAP HANA. And now just to quickly show you where can you set these settings with our latest technology for your DB table. So you see this Mara table, which is actually SAP have done already. So you go to technical settings in your table, and now go to DB specific properties, and here you can see SAP has already converted the Mara table to a column store. Yeah, so this is one quick glance for all of you to understand what is that we will be learning in this course. We will be coding a lot of CDS view. Just to quickly show you the kind of apps we will be building in this course, let me just show you. I'll just quickly execute this app here just to show you some apps which we will build probably towards the end of this course. So this is an IDOC POC. It's an overview page, S4HANA report we will be building in SAP Fiori. So that's a one POC. Definitely we will be working on. It's a very big POC on S4HANA. We will be building this kind of a dashboard in S4HANA. And guys, you can mesmerize your end user and managers with this kind of capability which you gain. Okay, all the things which you used to do in BW are no more relevant. You get this done in the Fiori user experience. And the beauty of this, if I want to just turn my mobile, turn my browser into a mobile device. So I press F12 here, and I just click on this nice button on the below to toggle a mobile toolbar, and now you see my browser turns into mobile device, and I can now choose maybe iPhone X, and I want to see how does this app looks in iPhone X. You see it adapt itself automatically based on the device. Yeah, that's the beauty of SAP Fiori user experience. So you can choose tablet. How will this look in a tablet? So if I go to iPad, how does this look in iPad? And maybe in the landscape mode in the iPad, how does this will look? So all these features we will be exploring. We will be building this app, an end-to-end POC on S4HANA. We will be building this OVP based app. Not that all. I'll just quickly also show you a transactional app also. We will build a transactional app where we will be able to create the data. So what is this tool and all? Don't panic right now. I will teach you the installation of all the required tools. You don't have to come with any knowledge, zero knowledge. If you are an ABAPer with basic ABAP knowledge, done. Nothing else. Even you are not a BAPer, 30% course, maybe you find it little difficult, but remaining 70% of the course for BW people, this is still as equal as ABAP. As equal as non-ABAPer, because it doesn't need ABAP skills. So even this building this dashboard report doesn't need an ABAP skill. So you all are at same level. If you don't have any clue about HANA, definitely you can join this course. You don't need to learn anything in HANA at all as a prerequisite. If you don't have a clue on ABAP, still 70% of the course is useful for you. You don't have to do anything. So let me just quickly show you another transactional application which we had built here on this S4HANA machine. So let me just launch this one. This is a transactional app we will be building, guys, during our course. And a lot of different variety of things we will be learning, like SQL scripting, AMDPs, CDS views. By the way, this app is built on top of CDS view only. Okay, so we have used CDS view concept to build this. We will be also building hierarchy CDS with the tree table in SAP Fiori. All of that we will be doing throughout our course. So basically 5 end-to-end POCs we will build, end-to-end solutions we will build, which you can showcase or project it as a live project you have worked upon in interviews also. Yeah, with functionalities explained without copy paste of code. We will be doing all of this without any copy paste of code, guys. So that will be our main intention towards this. So you can see this is an application, and it's a smart filter Fiori app, and I can search the data. I can drill down. I can do an edit of data. So basically the reports which you used to do in ABAP are now being transferred to SAP Fiori. So if I just give the wrong data, you would see immediate feedback comes. I was saying you that you see immediate feedback comes as in when you change the data. You don't have to click on even save button. Immediate collaboration happens. Immediate feedback comes in when you give the wrong data in there. Yeah. So that's the beauty of this kind of architecture. We will be learning all these things, and all of that will be done on Core to Data Paradigm. You can to create, update, delete this kind of reports. You will learn how to build these reports on top of CDS and transactional capabilities, the lock unlock features. A lot of these features we will be having in this course, plus 2 complementary sessions. One will be on OData services, because many of you may not have idea on OData, and one session will be on runtime type service in OOPS ABAP. These 2 sessions also as a complementary I will offer. With that, being always there on my channel, thank you for supporting all your love, giving on it on my YouTube channel and on my website, constantly watching my YouTube channel and giving me the likes and comments and sharing your thoughts about, and continuously sending me emails. I thank all of you for all the responses and the emails and the love which I receive from all of you constantly on YouTube. Thanks for making this channel as #1 channel on technical learning on different topics on SAP. Once again to all of you. With that, I will see you in the live sessions which are starting tomorrow. Have a nice day and goodbye from my side. So thank you so much for watching this video. If you feel this video is helpful for you and your colleagues, please do share this video with all your friends and colleagues. Thank you so much for all your efforts putting and understanding this concept with me. Please do like, subscribe to my channel to get more videos like this. You will be getting notified automatically once you subscribe to this channel. If you want to get more deep into the course, please don't hesitate to subscribe to my course on SAP UI5 and Fiori development, SAP ABAP on HANA with S4HANA technical modules, and also probably on SAP Fiori Launchpad and Advanced Fiori training on WebID full stack. This is Anubhav Oberoi signing out. Thank you so much. See you again. Goodbye.